Hi guys, I'm here today to do a quick haul video. I have a bunch of exciting books to show you that I've been sent from publishers that I collected at the Nader Quick book swap event that I held a week ago. So first up, the kind people at Text Publishing sent me a copy of Helen Garner's Honor and Other People's Children, which is 2 stories in the one book. This is one of the last books I need to read before I do my Helen Garner highlight video, so I asked them to send me a copy of the new edition and they kindly sent me one in the post, so I'm really excited to get into this one. Next up we have one that I purchased recently when I went to work one day and forgot the book I was in the middle of. So not surprisingly, I went straight to the bookshop on my lunch break and bought the first book that I saw that I had on my to be read list, and that is Pink Mountain on Locust Island by Jamie Marina Law. This is a new book released by Brow Books here in Australia, and it's, yeah, I finished it. I'll talk about it in my July wrap up, but yeah, this was an excellent book. The next book is another one that I purchased. This one is called The Water Cure by Sophie McIntosh. It's a new dystopian fiction, and it's something that me and my book club are going to be reading together soon. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this one because I'm currently reading something that's not great, and I've had a bit of a slump over the past week. I think reading something that I'm not loving, and it's hard to sort of force myself to read it. I'm just kind of putting it off. So I'm really looking forward to finishing it today so that I can crack into something new and exciting so that my reading slump disappears and I go back to my amazing reading year that I was having earlier before this week happened. So yeah, Sophie McIntosh, The Water Cure. Next up, I was sent this by the lovely people at Scribe, Beautiful Revolutionary by Laura Elizabeth Willett. I would have spoken about this in my mid-yearly tag video fail thing that I did recently. This is the book I've been looking forward to the most this year, especially in the second half of the year. I read Laura's first book recently and absolutely loved it. It was short stories. This one is her new full novel, and it's about the Jones cult in, or I should say the People's Cult, I think it's called. Yeah, the People's Temple. Anyway, it sounds amazing. I'm going to read you a little bit off the back because I want everyone to go out and buy a copy if they can. Laura is an excellent writer and she deserves a lot of praise and recognition. And I don't know if I mentioned, but she's a female Australian writer from down here in Melbourne as well, which is just like my cup of tea. The thrilling new novel inspired by Jim Jones's People's Temple from the author of The Love of a Bad Man. In the summer of 1968, Evelyn Linden is a woman at war with herself. Minister's daughter, atheist, independent woman, frustrated wife, bitch with a bleeding heart. Following her conscientious objector husband Lenny to the rural Eden of Evergreen Valley, California, Evelyn wants to be happy with their new life. Yet as the world is rocked by warfare and political assassinations, by racial discrimination and social upheaval, she finds herself disillusioned with Lenny's passive ways and anxious for a savior. Enter the Reverend Jim Jones, the dynamic leader of a revolutionary church called People's Temple. So I'm not going to read any more, but that sounds so good. It's a nice big one. I'm going to the book launch soon at Readings and I'm really looking forward to hearing her talk about it and to get into reading it. I sent this from the lovely people at Hachette. This is Early Riser by Jasper Fforde. I have never read any Jasper Fforde, so this is completely new to me. I'll read you something from the back. Every winter, the human population hibernates. During those bitterly cold 4 months, the nation is a snow-draped landscape of desolate loneliness, devoid of human activity. Ooh, it says, we are investigating an outbreak of viral dreams which you dismiss as nonsense. Nothing more than a quirky artifact born of the sleeping mind. Sounds really interesting. Keen to give it a go. Sounds like something I've never read before. Well, it is something I've never read before, but it sounds like nothing I've ever read before. That's the difference. Next up, I actually won this copy of Where the Trees Were for LGBTQ month, reading month by Hachette on their social media, on their Twitter. So I was really excited about this. I've been wanting to read something by Inga Simpson for a while. She is an Australian writer, Australian female writer, and And yeah, this just sounds like such, and look at the cover. Look at that beautiful, it's like gum tree, but it's not real. I think it's crafted, which is even more beautiful. Yeah, so this one just sounds like something I'm going to love. So whenever I get to this, I know I'll really enjoy it. Next up, I got a couple of books from a friend of mine in my book club who was just looking to get rid of some things she'd read. So she kindly passed them on to me, and these three I haven't read before, but I've been really looking forward to. So the first one is the one that I originally intended on getting, and the rest were things I decided on at the last minute. So this one is an Australian writer, Georgia Blaine, who wrote Between a Wolf and a Dog, which is one of my favourite Australian books that I've read in a while. Please excuse my washing machine doing its spin cycle if you can hear that. So this is called The Museum of Words, and it's Georgia Blaine's non-fiction. It's called A Memoir of Language, Writing and Mortality. She was actually dying of cancer, I believe. Yes, she was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so this is a meditation on writing, reading first words and last words. And I believe it was written during her experience with cancer and throughout the end of her life. So this is going to be an intense read, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this because Georgia Blaine's one of my favourite writers. The next three I was given. The first one is something I've already read, so I'm not going to show you today. The last two from Jenna, my friend, are H is for Hawk, something I've had on my to-read list for quite a while, but I've never owned, so I'll get to that eventually. Please let me know if you've read it and if it's good. And also the much talked about Hot Milk by Deborah Levy, which was popular on BookTube a few years ago. I think 2016 maybe. So yeah, this is another one that I'm really keen to get into at some stage. No plan in the immediate future, but I'm glad to have it on my shelf so that I can pick it up at some point. We have quite a pile of books that I got at the NATO Quick Swap last week. So I may have already told you that I hold a bunch from people who were donating books for the swap. So I did purchase some originally before the swap, but on the night of the swap, a lot of people actually, as intended with the name, swapped books for a gold coin donation. So a lot of books were then given to the swap. So I was able to pick and choose things that I wanted to purchase at the event as well, which was really cool. So I left with a small stack, considering. I'll start with this one, the ever famous The Vagina Monologues, which I have never read, surprisingly, the feminist that I am. So I'm really keen to tick this off the list one day. Not Girl on the Train, Into the Water by Paula Hawkins, who wrote Girl on the Train. I read Girl on the Train like most people. It was okay, it wasn't great, but you know, it was a really engaging read, so I'm looking forward to trying Into the Water and seeing what I think of that. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about it, so it's going to be interesting to see what I think. And also, I always love a thriller, so yeah, keen to crack it open. Next up we have Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I'm really bad with names. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is something that's been, again, on my to be read for a really long time, and a friend of mine donated it to the swap the other day, so I was really excited to get this from her. So I'm keen to give this a read. The rest of the books are all Australian. The first one is The Enlightenment of the Green Gage Tree. This was longlisted for the Stella Prize this year. It's something that's been on my to-read list since the Stella list was launched, so I've heard some mixed things about it, but I'm going to give it a read because I generally love everything Stella Prize list. I actually don't think I've read something from the Stella Prize long list yet that I haven't loved. I did DNF The Green Bell. That was because at the time I wasn't really feeling like I could cope with something depressive, so I just put it on hold for a while and I haven't got back to it, but I would like to continue. It wasn't that I didn't like it at all. So yeah, I'm interested to see what I think of this one. Next up we have The Lifted Brow. This is the best of the Lifted Brow, which is a literary magazine here in Australia, in Melbourne, that is connected with Brow Books, which published Maria Tumarkin and Jamie Marina Law, the two of the books that I've shown you recently. One is Axiomatic and Pink Mountain on Locust Island. So these guys publish really amazing books, and this is a selection of writing from the magazine, I believe, the best of, and it's volume 2. So I've never actually read one of these, one of the best of the Lifted Brows, so I'm really excited to crack into this and see what it's like. It's one of those ones that I can read in, you know, while I'm reading a bunch of other things, because they're lots of short stories. So yeah, it's gonna be a nice one to have on the side. Next up we have Australia Day by Melanie Chang. This is on my Reading Women's challenge list for the year, so I was really keen to get a hold of this. I was so excited when I saw it donated for the NAIDOC Week swap. So this one will be cracked open very shortly. It's short stories, Australian short stories, and I am currently reading one short story collection, and then I will open this, because I usually read a short story, a non-fiction, a fiction, a poetry book, an audio book, all at the same time, which is why I call myself polyreader. So yeah, I'm sure it won't be long until I pick this up. And last but not least, we have A Few Days in the Country and Other Stories by Elizabeth Harrower. This is another shortlisted book for the Stella Prize in 2016. I've actually never heard of this, and I maybe just missed it when I was looking at the Stella Prize shortlists previously, because it wasn't popular enough and I didn't hear about it. But this sounds like something that I'm going to love. So it's a beautiful hardback, and that magpie on the front just sold it for me as well. Oh, let alone the Stella shortlist sticker, which always grabs me. But yeah, so I am really stoked with my haul this month. I've got so many amazing books to read. Please ignore the messy situation here. I have been in the process of redoing my shelves, and I'm a bit lost. I started organising them by publisher, and that worked for some. Like Penguin looked great, Text Publishing looked great, but some of them it just wasn't working. The genres were all mixed up. It was stressing me out. So now I've decided to stick with an Australian shelf, which is these guys here, these two shelves, but I haven't finished putting them all up. And then I'm not sure, I might go a bit by genre after that, and a bit by publisher, and a bit by visual, how it looks. So hopefully next time I do a video, you will see nice neat shelves behind me. This is hopefully going to be my setup from now on, because it's easy. I've got this little comfortable seat, which you can't see here. I'm going to stop rambling now, but thanks for watching. Yeah, it's been an interesting month of reading, and I'm going to do a wrap up at the end rather than doing two, because I just don't have the time, you know. It's difficult to find time to film videos lately. But yeah, how are you? Let me know in the comments below what you've been reading, if anything I've mentioned today is on your list, or if you've read it, if you hated it, if you loved it. I want to know all about it. And thanks so much for being here, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do down below, and I will speak to you soon. Bye!